Good evening. Welcome to SEC Baseball Reaction. All games in the books this weekend. I guess Arkansas is in the books finally. Yeah.
16.
Reaction on Sunday night. Yeah, that one got ugly. I'm Chris Lee, your host. Graham Doty, Alfred Esmond with you, breaking down the weekend of SEC baseball. Chat's already hopping. I'm taking some heat for Texas fans. You know what? We'll take all that on. We had a lot of interesting baseball this weekend. We had 4 teams that had sweeps. That was Texas, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, and LSU. Everything else was 2-1. And gentlemen, I think the biggest news of the weekend was one of those 2-1 series. I mean, we all had it on our bingo card, right? A&M gets no hit in 7 innings. And it comes back and just beats Tennessee to smithereens the next 2 games. Just as we all drew it up, right?
Baseball in a nutshell, pretty much, right? I mean, what was it, the third game? They had 7 home runs.
Program record.
Yeah, massive. Caden Sorrell had 3 all weekend. I'm pretty sure they're happy to have him back. Bear Harrison was really good for them. Yeah, I don't. If you're Tennessee, I really, can't explain it on their behalf. It is quite as much of an outlier as you can make it, right? The last 2 games compared to the first one, and this is Texas A&M that we were thinking we were getting this year, and they finally came alive, and in about as do or die as you can get, they come up huge in a national championship rematch. Their hitting was spectacular. Yeah, maybe this is a sign going forward. We'll have to see, but it's kind of an interesting shakeup, and it definitely means we're going to have a new number 1 team in top 25 rankings. So we'll have that to look forward to tomorrow as well.
Yeah, lots of thoughts from this one. I'm not going to lie. The first thing I did, I was like, what is Tony V going to say? So I did watch his press conference. He mostly talked about first time really playing a doubleheader this season. He said you can practice, simulate it as much as you want, but once you do it for real, like it's just a different animal. And his words, not mine, he did say Tennessee is not the best team in the country.
I wondered, with A&M, did you just need a little spark? I mean, everybody's buried your season. Mm-hmm. At that point, you got nothing to play for. You're playing the team that took a national title from you last year in Game 3, and everybody thinks you stink. You get embarrassed on Friday night, and at some point, do you just get good and pissed off? Maybe, is that what happened? I mean, I have to wonder. Look, we have said all along, don't ever completely count A&M out because this is still a really talented roster. It's not like a bunch of great players just suddenly just stink at baseball. But that's the way it played out the first half of the season. Caden Sorrell is back. He's really hitting well. Jace Laviolette seems to have found a second win. Some of the new guys, Ben Royal hit a home run. I mean, we said their pitching, even when they played poorly, their starting pitching has always been solid. We did say, I think that the 7-inning game where they only had to pitch 6 innings Friday night, I said, hey, look, circle this. If something crazy happens, I think A&M benefits not having to play those last 3 games or those last 3 innings. Now, I don't think that's what caused A&M to win the last 2 going away, but it didn't hurt. I mean, guys, the ingredients are still here for A&M to make a run. And here's the thing. This time a week ago, A&M's RPI was 107. They're all the way up to 61 with winning 3 out of 4 this week, including the midweek against Incarnate Word.
Mm-hmm. It's very good, especially considering, how hard their schedule is. They kind of needed an offensive spark like this. And the crazy part to me, guys, is as controlling, I guess, as Lampkin and Patton were, they gave up a ton of hits. And they still, for whatever reason, Tennessee could not get those runs home, enough to compete in the games with A&M. And I guess, Patton had a fair amount of strikeouts in his start. Lampkin did not. So it's very, very odd. Yeah, I don't really know what to make of it. the way I put it to both fan bases, if you like Texas A&M, you're, celebrating like crazy about this, being like, hey, this season might be back on a little bit. If you're Tennessee, to be quite honest, I think you kind of just crumble it and throw it in the trash can and forget about it, because it obviously is not reflected, what they've done this year, and just a major outlier of a doubleheader they had on Saturday.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not really worried about Tennessee at all. They're going to have a lot of fireworks this coming weekend, though, at Oxford in that 3-game series against Ole Miss. Now for A&M, all right. So here's the math: 18 SEC games remaining. So A&M is sitting at what, 3 SEC wins now. So you're looking at, they got to go 12 and 14 in the final 18, to feel good. And I think if they do that, I think they would get in just because they were the preseason #1 team in the country. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and everybody knows what they did a season ago. And we touched on this a couple of weeks ago. If A&M ever figures it out, they would be a 3 seed that nobody wants a part of in a regional.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Here's the recipe: sweep South Carolina and Missouri at home. That puts you what, 9 and 11?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Or 9 and 12. 9 and 12. What's their record now?
They are. Oh, I just had it.
Sorry, they're 3 and 9 now, right?
Yes, they're 3 and 9.
Okay, so that gets you to 9 and 9. Then you've got to take one each at Arkansas, at Texas, at Georgia, LSU.
They could do it if they play the way they played on Saturday. I have no doubt about that. I mean, as good as those teams
13
are.
and 17, yeah.
Right. Yeah, if they were to get in that way, it would be a 2 or 3 somewhere, and that's nightmare fuel for whatever team it is hosting a regional. I mean, I would not want that whatsoever. That's just, even if you do get out of it, this is looking way ahead, but even if you do get out of that, that's, a certain amount of competitiveness coming in that you just don't really want to handle. There's a lot easier 3s or 2s you could get. So we'll see, but maybe a sign of things to come. I'm hoping it is.
And they're going to get an RPI bump just by playing the series at Arkansas, at Texas, at Georgia, at home against LSU. Now, look, they may get it. They're going to give some of that back just playing Missouri. But you get to 13. I think that's the mark that you're silently shooting for in this league, is get to 13 wins. Because I can't see anybody gets left out going 13 and 17.
So that means they got to go 10 and 8 the rest of the way, which is doable with that schedule. So my thing is, like, do they build off this? Like, is this what they needed? Is this the turning point where everybody looks back and say, hey, remember that doubleheader in Knoxville that Saturday?
Yeah.
Or are they just going to, is in a few days, it's just not going to matter? Like, are they going to crash and burn again? So, like, we'll find out. They're going to play these games, but it certainly is what makes it fascinating, especially A&M schedule is way more manageable than some of the other ones in the conference.
And maybe the play of the weekend wasn't even one of the bombs. It was Terrence Keel taking a home run away from Andrew Fisher.
Yeah,
they had the sirens going and everything. And Keel, I'm telling you what, Keel is going to be in that conversation for freshman of the year. I think
he might be. He's probably freshman of the week, I would guess. Yeah, he didn't hit a home run, but he hit really good on Saturday.
He went 5 for 14 this weekend. Double 2 RBIs.
It's a good guess at it. That's my guess if I had to pick one.
Derek Carroll's probably going to be your, like, if we had to vote on it right now, that's probably your freshman of the year, but he's got some time to make a run at it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because we can't understand it, by the way. Like, getting Caden Sorrell back, like, guys, that helps. I mean, he's preseason second team all conference for a reason. So, I mean, he's a big part of it. They lose their stud from a season ago pretty early this year. And then, you finally get him back. This weekend was the first time that he's played, 3 games in a row against an SEC opponent.
Alfred, any takeaways for Tennessee? I mean, I think they'll they'll continue on business as usual. I think their status now is best team in conference. I think you've got probably 4 teams shooting for that at the moment. We'll outline our arguments for that tomorrow. But, I mean, Gavin Keelan didn't play again. A.J. Russell didn't throw this weekend. So that's still 2 big pieces you got on the shelf there.
Yeah, it is. And maybe that's there, Caden Sorrell coming back once Keelan comes back. And like I said, it's too much of an outlier to really, dwell on it if you're Tennessee, in my opinion. And I know Tony Vitello, I think he kind of likes that they're not going to be the number 1 team in the country anymore, because they've just sat up there for, forever, for eons, it feels like. So, yeah, not too. I don't think you dwell on it too much. You can't. You have a full season left, and this team is better than what they showed on Saturday. They showed it Friday, right? So you just think about that, and you move on to the games you have this week.
Probably second, or probably one of the 2 biggest series of the weekend, along with A&M Tennessee, was Texas taking down Georgia at home. Texas continues to be just invincible at home, unless it's a midweek. But the pitching guys, Ruger Riojas today, 6 innings, 3 earned. Dylan Volantis closes them out. Game 2, they're down 4-0. Jaquay Stewart hits a home run to break up a Curly no-hitter. Max Grubbs finishes up. Texas is pitching exceptionally well at home and just seems to be getting the hits when it matters, guys.
Yeah. A thing that stuck out to me, I was doing some work on them today about their weekend and stuff. Your first real stretch of games without Max Ballou, right? We were talking about it couldn't have come at a worse time. And how do you kind of, cancel that out? You have 5 different guys homer during the weekend. It wasn't just Gasparino. It wasn't just Galvan. It was 5 different dudes. You had dudes like Stewart and Borba, homering for them. That's called stepping up. And that's what they did. And it was huge. And Volantis is the other big, mark on their roster. That guy comes in late in games. It's curtains pretty much, right? Yeah. I mean, today he went 4 innings to close out that game. And these games were, it didn't play into Georgia's favor. I mean, it was tight, close, and so it was high pressure throughout a lot of this action. And he was nails, man. Those 2 things really stood out to me about them this weekend.
Yeah. So here are the numbers: 6 total pitchers used, 3 starters, 3 bullpen arms. Like against that offense,
against Georgia.
Like we were all talking about Georgia, like at worst, like the number 3 offense in the country. Everything that they've done, and then Texas just totally stonewalls them and shuts them down. So, and they just did it everything. Like starters were good. Alfred, you touched on Max Grubbs, and the back end of the bullpen is really good for Texas. So, I mean, this was a monster statement this weekend for Texas.
Yeah, they're 30-4, and I think part of the 26-4. I guess that's it.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Feels like 30-4 at this point. The conversation for national seed, guys, as a sidebar, is going to be really interesting because you got so many SEC teams in contention. What have you got? Like 8 of the top 9 in the RPI right now? It's just crazy.
What's your
7 of the top 9?
What's your over under on how many the SEC gets?
Well, see, that's a good question.
6.5.
The regionals might be. Well, are we talking national seeds, or are we talking hosts?
Let's go national seeds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Arkansas's got to be one, right?
Right.
Texas has got to be one.
LSU, Tennessee.
I think LSU's got to be one. I think Tennessee's still one. So that's 4 right there.
4.
Ole Miss and Vanderbilt, their RPIs are 7 and 8. I don't think either of them is a national seed right now.
I think, right now, Ole Miss is in a situation. If the season ended today, Ole Miss would host. I don't think Ole Miss would be a national seed. Potentially, same with Vandy.
Yeah. Georgia in there, too. Georgia at 3.
Yeah.
Georgia, yeah.
So, I mean, I think right now your teams that would host would be Arkansas, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, LSU, Ole Miss, Vandy. That's what, 7? Alabama's got a hosting RPI. Jay's in here. Let's let him in.
Fellas,
good evening,
Hey.
our friend.
I just been sitting here listening to all the wisdom. I'm just getting smarter sitting here.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean Auburn.
Jay would know this. Over unders is his specialty. What you got, Jay? Over under how many SEC teams will not host but be a national seed postseason play?
There are 8 national seeds, correct?
Yeah.
Well,
5.5. The over under is 5.5.
5.5. Okay. I said
yeah.
6.
I'll take the under.
And you that's probably the smart bet, and it may be an even 5, so 5 pushes, but because what you're going to have is the carnage of middle to late May, especially when they go to Hoover, is going to leave a couple of teams dinged. Now, if I had to set an over-under on considering, boys, did y'all see and I know y'all were great on Texas A&M and Tennessee. The attendance numbers this weekend, if I had to set an over-under on the number of SEC teams that host a first round, that's like 10.5.
Yeah.
What's the big? I don't know that they've had more than 6 before, have they?
I don't know, but they've never had a year like this either.
Well, it would be the only other
7 of 9 in the RPI.
conversation with ACC. I mean,
well,
it's not the Big 10, it's not the Big 12. I mean,
the difference is going to be geography. The NCAA will give a team in the 30s a hosting spot if it's out west or whatever.
Shout out UC Irvine.
Yeah.
The Fighting Anteaters?
Yeah. They're fighting this year. Have you seen them? They're fighting. But
I just saw them lose to UTC in basketball. That's all I saw.
That is true. I think 10.5 is fair host wise, because there's we just rattled off teams that aren't national, that may not be national seeds that are hosting too. So I think we're gonna have a ton. We're gonna be busy that time of year.
Hey,
yeah,
the one thing I would like to add, because you guys were spot on that Texas A&M grabbed some momentum. I'd be real curious to see how these freshman arms that Tennessee's counting on that got lit up in game 2 of that doubleheader, how they kind of react going deeper into the year, where everybody gets a little bit of a book on them and everybody kind of understands what they're wanting to do. Tennessee had multiple pitchers. I think 3 pitchers who had ERAs jump by a run against the Aggies on Saturday.
Yeah, I think the thing with them, they've still got. Let me just count.
Well, AJ's coming back at some point, and then it just. But let's continue, because you guys were spot on. As much as we were waiting on the Aggies to put their foot on the clutch and get into second or third gear, Alfred, some of you young kids may not know how to drive a manual transmission, but that's okay. It's okay. I'm here. I'm still here for you. I still love you. But Texas pitching was the story of the weekend for me. That was astounding, because I have bought more of Georgia's bats than anybody anywhere. And man, Schlossnagle, man, that dude, and being able to hold Rojas till Sunday, a Sunday start. If that dude can start on Sundays, he's every bit the ace on Sunday that Witherspoon or Pico is on Friday night.
Yeah. Kid's got a rubber arm, or has had in the past. You put him in the 3, and I don't know. See, I don't know if they'll make him the 3, or they'll just make him, because
he's too valuable in swing games, don't you think, Graham?
Right.
Big time.
It's like the Nate Snead at Tennessee last year. You could start him in game 3 if you need him, or if it's a 4-4 game in the 5th inning. Bring him in there, nail him down, get yourself a win, and clinch a series on a Saturday. I mean, there's a lot of those type guys in the league this year, and I think he might be theirs.
And it's invaluable. I mean, it's an invaluable because I think we saw that. I don't know where you were going next, Chris, but we saw that also in Gainesville because O'Sullivan hates his bullpen right now because that's a walk fest. It's the March of Dimes coming out of the Florida bullpen. I mean, it's a walkathon. Yeah, it's a bunch of heavy people all out there chugging to raise money for charity and the whole 9 yards. But when you can go out to the mound, and it's twofold. If you've ever pitched anything above coach pitch, when you can hand the ball to the guy coming out of the bullpen and you trust him to hold a lead or you trust him to continue a game, man, the synergy in the entire staff, and Texas has that. And pitching travels. Georgia's going to kill you at home, but I mean,
only thing I want to see from Texas, and this is nitpicking, can they do this on the road? Like their only SEC series so far has been at Mississippi State, and they took care of business. But State has what, 3 SEC wins up to this point. So I mean, Texas is going to be in it till the very end, but I want to see what they look like on the road.
So we're not counting Missouri.
Yeah. Does anybody want to count Missouri?
We'll get to that one in a minute. Hogs, you're coming up, but let's talk good pitching for a minute. Boys, LSU this weekend, and I get that it was like, I think the wind chill was like in the 20s or something crazy like that, and the wind was blowing in. But LSU, Kate Anderson gives you 135 in a shutout, complete game in game 1. Anthony Einson comes back, does Anthony Einson things, goes 5 2/3, 2 runs, none earned, strikes out 8. Kason Evans comes in, shuts the door on 57 pitches. And then today, and this is the thing with LSU, we keep saying, they've got 4 or 5 just outstanding arms. I mean, they've got more than that, but guys that have just been lights out. And we've been kind of waiting for Chase Shores. And the numbers weren't spectacular. He walked 4 guys, but I think he didn't give up an earned run today, or maybe it was 1. Gives them 5 innings against a tough Oklahoma lineup. They had Zach Cowan do Zach Cowan things again. Goodness, guys, if Chase Shores gives you 5 scoreless, a few more times, we're having a very interesting debate at number 1 because we know those guys can flat out hit.
Yeah. And Derek Curiel can flat out hit. He beat Oklahoma by himself in game 3. He had all 3 RBIs, so he accounted for all 3 of their runs. Terrence Keel might be catching them, and we talked about that right before we came on, but a game like that makes it that much more apparent that Derek Curiel is the freshman to beat in the SEC. He was great this weekend. Their bats were incredible across the board. The normal guys you'd see step up to the plate and perform. Daniel Dickinson, Bear Jones. The weekend really started with Bear Jones, and they just took off from there, both pitching and hitting. And yeah, right up where they need to be in the top tier of the SEC. And to do that in Norman, the first time really going there for a weekend series is quite impressive, because that's kind of a weird trip for these teams going all the way out there, but didn't really faze them at all.
Yeah, this stat jumped out to me. For LSU, this is their first sweep against an SEC top 10 team on the road since 1997, when they did it against Tennessee.
Yeah.
So you think they get somebody since 1997. It's their best start overall since 2013. Guys, they were in control. Oklahoma never had a lead at any point in the series this weekend. LSU's bullpen didn't allow an earned run. They only utilized 5 total pitchers in the series as well. So they just really, really took care of business in Norman.
All right, I got two big picture questions for the group. One is the Ianson kid the best Saturday starter in the league? Is one. And 2, how would you not vote LSU number 1 in the country if you had a Baseball America vote come Monday?
Well,
because
let's
they
answer the
they
second
lost.
one first. Texas
They
has
lost.
got
Yeah,
one league loss and beat LSU twice.
head to
Okay.
head.
Yeah.
To me, head to head always matters.
Right.
As for who's got a better Saturday starter until Florida gets completely healthy and AJ comes back for Tennessee than LSU right now?
Well,
I
who's
say
in the conversation?
Well,
Arkansas,
let's form the
Phillips,
list, okay?
Tennessee.
Riley Quick's a Saturday guy, right?
yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Put him on your list. Who's pitching out of the two? Gabe Gackle for Arkansas. I don't think he's that guy right now, but he could be. Started slow. In Cleaver,
Luke Harris.
Kentucky's a 3, I think.
King
That
at
could be
Florida.
changing. Yeah, Ionson's absolutely on the list. And let's see who we're leaving out.
Luke
Marcus
Harrison,
Phillips
Texas.
at Tennessee's on the list. Luke
Yeah.
Harrison at Texas would be in the discussion. Lampkin at A&M would be absolutely in the discussion. And Cody Bowker at Vandy would be in the discussion.
I think it's Ianson. I think
Well, Ionson's 5-0, an ERA at 3.38. He's eaten innings when need to. I mean, he's almost to 43 innings. More importantly, he doesn't walk anybody, and he strikes out a ton. 66 Ks and 42 and a 2/3. So, I mean, this is a guy that if you get in a leverage situation Friday night against a Pico, against a Witherspoon, against a Liam Doyle or somebody else, you know you've got somebody who's going to help you come Saturday. I mean, that guy's been tremendous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, comment I know Gackle would not be on the list based on performance, but based on stuff, you know.
Yeah, talent.
Give him a good month, and he's in that conversation.
Well, and talent-wise, if he puts his foot on the clutch and goes to third gear again, Alfred, a manual transmission analogy. He's on the short list of Friday night guys. I mean, Gackle's got big league stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess
I will say this. Go ahead, Graham.
What do you guys take away from Oklahoma from this series? This is now 2 series in a row that they've dropped.
It's also 2 Friday nights they got beat, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, people, I think that's pretty troubling for them if people start to get the Kyson Witherspoon. That was kind of their anchor on how they control weekend series, and now that's, well, being dragged a good distance along the seafloor. So you kind of, that it starts there, first of all, and I think you've got to, this next series this weekend's going to be huge for them just to find footing again. I don't think you panic just yet. I mean, you're still sitting pretty right now with a good chance at an NCAA tournament spot, but I think you had a really tough opponent come in after you dropped right to Mississippi, after you just went at it with Mississippi State, and I don't know, not time to hit the panic button. You played a really good team, but this next weekend's I would say is pretty vital for them to get a win, to get footing back.
They're going to have to find answers offensively. They only had 5 hits in each game of the weekend. They only had 2 total extra base hits, just 4 runs scored. So, I mean, if they want to start to feel good about themselves, they're just going to have to find some hits. Now, they're never going to be a team that hits a lot of home runs or anything like that. But what they are good at is getting on base and stealing bases. So they got to get back to doing what they're good at.
Right.
Here's the issue for them. They got a dude in Kyson Witherspoon. Probable first round pick. He's not been their problem. Their problem is they cannot get dependable strike throwing and effectiveness out of the other guys in that rotation. And they got 2 or 3 really good in-game type bullpen arms. But this is a year where the ones are as good as they've been. I'm not saying they've got like an elite Well, I mean, you could see some guys get there. I've seen leagues where your pitcher of the year was better, like a Kumar Rocker type. I don't know that the league's got one of those yet this year. It might. But I don't remember a year where the depth of starting pitching in a few years has been what it is right now. Mm-hmm. Where you've got, I mean, we just named off a beauty pageant of number twos. I mean, if you want to go threes, you got a lot of talented guys there like Chase Shores. We can get to a lot of places with the list, but I think the list of the ones are better and go deeper into games across the board than in a while. And I think your twos in particular and some of your threes are better than we've seen in a few years. And I think that's where Oklahoma falls short compared to the rest of the bunch.
They have time to their next two series are Vanderbilt at home and then Missouri. So this is a pretty big stretch for them if they can get a lot of wins here. Because after that, hello, Georgia. And if your pitching's off, that's not going to be pretty.
Yeah.
So there's that. So they have a shot. It's pretty favorable right now. I know Vanderbilt's going to be a challenge, but then you have Missouri after that, and Vandy's at home in Norman. So we'll see. Not giving up on them quite yet.
Yeah.
Let's go to Arkansas next. Somebody posted they scored. What was the final?
It's the most runs they've scored under Dave Van Horn against an SEC opponent.
Yeah, and somebody said it was in 21 innings. That's actually not true, because when you are the home team and have a 10-run lead, you don't get to bat.
Yeah.
So they scored all those runs in 18 innings. I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch the Saturday game, but it was nasty. I saw a kid hit a looping line drive that should have gone through the infield. I think it was so weighted down by the moisture and maybe the wind or whatever. It kind of two-hopped through the dirt and onto the outfield. It just looked weird. I mean, it felt like I was imagining those guys. You seen the weighted baseballs?
Yeah.
It almost looked like somebody had hit one of those. And I know Missouri's pitching is awful, but in those conditions to score that many runs, that was crazy.
Yeah, flying blind, 51 runs and 18 total innings. By the way, it's the most runs Arkansas scored in SEC play since 1997. Just going to go ahead and break the news here. Cam Kozel is going to be the SEC Player of the Week. 8 for 11, 2 home runs, 2 doubles. He had 13 RBIs.
Man,
is that any good? I mean, it sounds pretty good. I mean, I'd like to have him on my fantasy team that in a league against Chris, who spent like 47 million hours getting prepared for the draft for. But should Missouri drop baseball? Should they be like the Vandy and women's softball? I mean, I don't know. I mean, they're about to go bagel in 18. I don't see a game they win.
I just don't think you can do that in this league.
They're never going to drop it because, then you would have to the Title IX aspect comes up.
No. Title IX, if you drop a male sport, you don't have to correspond to the female sport. You just have to have more female opportunities than male opportunities. It doesn't work in reverse.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
I still don't think that they would do it.
I don't either. I mean, I don't, and it was more me firing from the seat of my khakis than it was anything about meaningful conversation. But dang, I mean, I feel like the guys who are working on the mound are the 2 guys from Major League and go, "Oh no, we're crappy again." I mean, that's where do you see a win? I mean, do you see a team that you would feel comfortable betting a mortgage payment on Missouri to win a single game in a series?
I think that I think they'll
somebody
get one along the way.
I mean, baseball's law of averages will tell you that they're gonna win one.
Yeah.
But do you see a team you would bet a significant amount of money on to lose to Missouri?
They got a shot to get one next week against Florida, maybe Oklahoma the next weekend. And
It's
tell me how.
It's in Gainesville too, because remember, Mizzou won that series last year against Florida.
Right. And then tell me how interested A&M is and how interested Mississippi State are the last 2 weekends of the year.
And the crazy part is we're not talking about winning a series. We're talking about winning a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Flying Blind asked a fascinating question. Has the school ever gone winless in basketball and baseball in the same decade?
Never mind the same decade, the same 36 months.
Yeah.
I mean, because Missouri went bagel in 18 just a year ago, and they crippled my bracket. Man, I don't even want to talk about it.
Drake.
We're not talking about basketball, okay? We're not talking about basketball because I know Auburn took it on the chin. We're not talking about it. Go ahead, Chris. Lead us to the promised land.
Well, I'm thinking back in the 30-game schedule era with 12 to 14 teams. Alabama went 5-25 one year, I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember a worse. Do you?
That's the lowest that I have found in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Which would cover most of the extended expansion, the 14-team league era.
Right.
Yeah. If you want to get in the Wayback Machine here a little bit, under Tim Jamison, Missouri went from 2003 to 2009, went to regional 7 straight years.
Yeah, but
missed it a couple years, and then won the Big 12 and made a regional in 2012. The year before it joined the SEC. Missouri since then has not made the NCAA tournament since joining the SEC, although I could argue a couple years, 2015 and I think 2017, I would have put Missouri in. I thought they had a good enough resume. But, it's just been brutal. I mean, and even their worst year so far, guys, was 6-24 back in 2014. Every other year they've won at least 8 or 9 games.
Yeah. The difference with those teams that made the tournament, you guys ever hear of Max Scherzer, Aaron Crow? You know, they also – who was the other one? Kyle Gibson. They don't have a first-round pick walking through the doors in Columbia. Not this season.
Well, I mean, they had good grief, who's the kid for the Red Sox? Houck. Tanner Houck.
Yep.
Was there, 19, 20-ish?
Who
first-round pick?
Carrick recruited him to Columbia, yeah.
Yeah, the kid, oh gosh, I can picture him. Big, tall outfielder, athletic, toolsy kid, just made the majors this year. You say his name, I'd know it. They have put some guys in the bigs even very recently.
Ian Kinsler, here's another Mizzou.
No, well, Kinsler would have been a long time ago. I'm talking about a guy that, I saw him play this week. Like a second or third round pick a couple of years ago. But anyway.
Someone in the chat, give us the name. Give us the name in the chat.
Find it.
It can't be very many of them if it's recent.
I can picture him now as like a 6'4" outfielder. Just looks like a baseball player.
Chris, are you trying to say that Shohei Ohtani played at Missouri?
not going to go that far.
Okay.
Gosh.
This is driving Chris crazy.
Yeah, Cameron Misner. That's who it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know he went to Missouri.
Yeah, he was a good ball player.
Chris until he looked it up.
Right.
No, I remember him.
Well, I know you remembered him, but
yeah. Yeah. They still had enough talent to compete with teams until a couple of years ago. I just think that with the NIL and everything, they put their money elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the other thing, they're really the only SEC team that has to worry about this other than Georgia. That's a Major League Baseball area. You got the Cardinals and you got the Royals. So, people are going to pay more attention to those than Mizzou baseball.
Well, I also think the weather hurts. I just don't think the baseball in the state of Missouri in the growing up areas is as good as it is when you talk about call it the Bible Belt all you want, but when February gets here, every kid south of Frankfort, Kentucky is playing baseball. So,
yeah,
that has to impact it as well.
This is the biggest upset of the weekend, by the way. Us talking about Mizzou baseball for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, and I hate it. We had Carrick Jackson on before the season. Really enjoyed our time with him.
Great.
He didn't make excuses. He's a bright guy. He's a recruiter. But, I mean, it's just, at least for a bit, Missouri was pretty advanced in the technological aspect, pitching labs or whatever. But, you know, once NIL has come in, that just, it's almost immaterial.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Game changer.
Who've we got left? We have not talked Ole Miss, Kentucky.
If we not talk about Vandy going down there, and Chris, you and I did our preview show, and I said this was going to be 100% a Tim Corbin series.
Yeah,
and
you called it.
Hey, I've been wrong countless times, and I'm certain some folks in the chat are going to say, hey, the fat-faced kid from Chattanooga, Tennessee needs to shut his pie hole, and that's fine because I've heard it a million times before. But I couldn't have nailed that anymore. Vandy went down there and said, here's Vandy baseball, and you're going to like it.
Yeah.
It just, like, the camera was on Kevin O'Sullivan a lot. Like,
oh, my word.
More than usual this weekend, and he looked so miserable.
He had the scorebook in his hand, and I haven't seen librarians put a book in front of their face more than what Kevin O'Sullivan did. I mean, that guy – because he was going bleep, 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 bleep.
Yeah.
Well, he got ejected in the first inning of Saturday, and that looked to me like the classic, I'm trying to get my team jump started.
Yeah.
He was arguing a balk. In the game today, I think he, just wanted to rip his scorebook and that was an 11-3 game, but that was misleading. It was 4-3, I think, heading into the 6th or 7th. And they left the bases loaded and left a couple on a couple other times. And the difference was and Vanderbilt did too. Vanderbilt left a couple guys on, but Vanderbilt started converting those opportunities late in the game, and Florida just didn't. And I was worried for Florida that they might run out of pitching, that kind of got to that point. They were recycling Barlow. And who else did they bring back? Clemente. They brought him back today. Just kind of desperate getting late. I think Barlow ran out of gas because he gave up 2 bombs in the 9th.
And he balked a run in.
Yeah, and that too.
That kind of summed up how this weekend went and how the season's gone. 1-11 in SEC play. And they were top 10 team heading into the year. So
so I did the math. So they got to go 18 games left. Florida has to go 13-5 the rest of the way, even to get to 14 wins.
It's pretty dire.
Guess who they have next weekend?
Missouri. MIZ.
And then after that,
South Carolina, right?
Mississippi State. And then 2 weeks after that, South Carolina. So the blueprint, if you're going to do that, is there. Yeah.
It is there.
And if I'm going to turn my elbow, pat myself on the back for saying this was going to be a Tim Corbin series, I also have to readily admit that I took Florida in the first round of our who's going to win the SEC draft.
Oh, yeah.
About 3 weeks ago. Yeah, if your first round pick doesn't even get invited to Hoover, you're okay. So there's that.
Yeah. For Vanderbilt, pitching was really good again this weekend. They gave up 5 runs all weekend. Got some bombs late in games to break some stuff open. That may be the best defensive team in the league, guys.
And the best bunting team in the league. And I'll go you a step further. They're now starting to play really good. And the Johnston kid's in like a 1 for 27 slump. And he's got the most power in their lineup.
He went 0 for 11 this weekend.
Yeah. That's crazy. Jonathan Vastine was really good today. That's the game I caught, was today's game. He was good. Barzy was good. The guys who had been there were good. That's a way to combat Johnston not doing what he usually does.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
Very nice to see.
Vastine had the most hits, 6 hits this weekend. I guess this kind of surprised me a little bit, but Chris, what about you? Vandy, they dropped the last 4 series prior to this weekend against the Florida Gators, but this is their first sweep ever in Gainesville.
Yeah, O'Sullivan's kind of had Corbin's number since they both coached. Nashville, Gainesville hasn't much mattered, and especially down there, it's gotten ugly at times. So, yeah, I was – and that's one reason I picked Florida. I thought between just that always being a tough matchup, they coached together at Clemson. They were assistants. They know each other like the back of their hand. And Florida just being in a must-win spot. I just thought, hey, I could have seen Vandy winning the series, a sweep I didn't see coming.
Mm-mm. Good stuff from Vandy.
We got Alabama-Auburn to talk about. I can't believe we got this deep into this and we didn't get to that one, but that's sort of the state of baseball in this league. Sam Dutton was brilliant again, game one, and they split the other two, but Auburn wins the series. I don't know that anything really stuck out in this series. Not a big headline or a note outside of Dutton, but what have you guys got?
Go ahead.
Go for it, Jay. You're an Auburn grad.
I mean, I've kind of got a big picture question because this is kind of the way I view some of this stuff, especially in the reactionary mode. Should we count a run rule game as a complete game? Because Sam Dutton only pitched 7 innings and got a complete game and got a shutout Friday night. And he was brilliant. I mean, he gave up 2 hits and 2 walks, which is normally a normal game for Alfred's man crush of Justin LeBron. I mean, Alfred, how did that tattoo of Justin LeBron on your bicep feel? Are you still got the Band-Aid on there?
It's my arm's limping a little bit on my left side. I did the left on purpose. The
non-dom. But, I mean, should a run rule game count as a complete game or a shutout? I mean, I see both sides of it because you did go the complete game, but you only went 7 as opposed to 9. Now, if you did like a double hitter when they make them 7 in games and you pitched all 7, that would be a complete game, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't necessarily have a hard opinion. I just kind of was throwing out big picture questions for the group because you guys are smarter than me.
I think it's fair to count it. I mean, it's just you put that rule in, you're gonna have stuff like that happen. So I guess there's a little asterisk next to it, but if you're Sam Dutton and you do that against Alabama's lineup, he'll take it.
Absolutely,
right?
you will. Yeah, and in the bigger picture, before Graham and Chris answer, I mean, and however y'all want to say, I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer to it. Sam Dutton is kind of emerged to be, I'm not saying he's got MLB potential like a Pico or a Witherspoon, but I know Butch Thompson trusts him a whole heck of a lot on Friday nights.
They taught him that cutter, and he's just been a different guy. I mean, he would be on that list of when we're saying who's your biggest ace in the league. I don't know if he'd be the guy, but he needs to be on the list of being talked about.
The last 2 weeks, for sure.
Sure.
I guess my takeaways from Auburn this weekend, a big reason why they took care of business, the defense was really good. They did not have one error in the 3 games against Alabama. And also just the home team dominates this series. The home team has won the last 6 in this series. And Ike Irish, he appears to be, somewhat healthy. He had 5 hits this weekend. And then the good news for Auburn, if they get Eric Guevara back, like he had the timely hit today, if he's back and if he's healthy, that's just going to pay dividends for them moving forward. They're just kind of flying under the radar. They've only dropped 1 series this weekend, and it was to Georgia. So, nothing wrong with that. So, they're just slowly but surely just taking care of business.
In that crazy over-under at 10.5 I set for teams hosting a first-round series, Auburn's attendance will potentially really help them host a first-round series.
Yeah, that is a factor. I saw they had almost 7,000.
Yeah, it was a record-setting crowd Friday night.
Yeah.
They
had almost 7,000 at every game. Tennessee was packed too.
A couple other things.
Tennessee can play in your backyard, Graham, and they're still going to host.
Yeah.
I mean,
a couple things. Eric Snow got hit in the face. I think was it Saturday. and was out. So I think they're waiting on that. I can't remember if they said that was a concussion or not. You would think maybe it was. And I think the other thing, their freshmen continue to hit guys. Terrell, I think Rembert got a bomb this weekend. Suddenly their lineup, basically their first, or pretty much all their lineup. I don't know that there's an easy out in that order right now. They don't strike out a lot. They put the ball in play. They walk a decent amount. Keep an eye on those guys because those freshmen just continue to get a little bit better and better every week, it feels like.
Yeah, they really do.
Alfred, I know I was heckling you a minute ago about the Justin LeBron love, but it's 100% worthy. He won game 2 in this series, and he's almost reached that rarefied air. And the best example I know of it is at the peak of his powers, we as sports fans were surprised when Tiger Woods missed from 10 feet. When he flew out to end Sunday's game, I was surprised, which means I expected him to deliver to a point that if you're an athlete in a game as hard as baseball and putting a round bat on a round ball being thrown 90 plus miles an hour at you, and I'm surprised you didn't deliver, that tells me that Justin LeBron is so stinking good that I don't even know if we can give him enough adjectives.
He's vital. It's very apparent at this point how vital he is to them. I mean, the 2 games they lost, he went 0 for 7 or 8. He didn't have a hit in those 2 games. So, yeah, I mean that's a big key. And Auburn, I think being at home, obviously, like Graham said, in the series helped, but he's that major of a player for them. And both these teams are going to get tested going forward too, guys. Southern Miss in the midweek for Alabama. Auburn goes to Georgia Tech, which is a really hard midweek game. Georgia Tech is really, really good. So that'll be difficult. And then Auburn has LSU this weekend. So huge week for the Auburn Tigers. If they can get through this pretty well, start really paying attention to them. And Alabama, it's Iron Bowl in-state type of mojo. It didn't go your way. Again, I'm not wavering on them that much. Like I said, I think Justin LeBron, his lack of presence in their 2 losses played a major role, but you have a chance to bounce back. And they're still, I think they kind of just, after how high flying they were throughout the first half or so of the season, they've kind of just hit a little bit of road bumps, in SEC play, and that's, hurt them a bit, but they got Mississippi State at home, very winnable. Those midweeks though, and then after that, their next midweek is UAB. So a few tough games on their schedule, but if they get through those, confidence will surely be back.
Well, to me, this is what's going on. So technology is incredible nowadays. So kind of the scout is out on Alabama. Everybody's kind of made the adjustments. So what Alabama is about to do, they're about to make the adjustment to the adjustments, and then they're going to figure it out. I think they will, but this past weekend, Will Hodo, he only had 1 hit. Cade Snell only had 2 hits in the series against Auburn. So they're just too good. They're too talented. I think they'll figure it out. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, their offense has leveled off a little bit in conference play. Not been bad, but they have not had, some of the games they were having early in the season where they were just, run ruling everybody, which you can say that a lot of teams. But maybe the most interesting series this weekend in terms of drama was in Lexington. Graham, I know you were texting me about that one, said that one got a little chippy. 3 really close games. Ole Miss takes 2 of 3 at Kentucky. That's huge for the Rebels in positioning themselves for a host. What did we learn this weekend about those 2?
Well, I learned the difference with Ole Miss this season and the previous 2 seasons is this team just has grit. Ole Miss would not have won these games the previous 2 years. So to me, this by far is not the most talented team that Mike Bianco has ever had. It's not even close. The weaknesses of this team has been the bullpen and defense. And those 2 things are why Ole Miss was able to win this series this weekend. The defense was really, really good, especially the outfield defense. Sandfield and Ryan Moorman had great catches. There was a play at the plate prevented Kentucky from literally walking off another game. Kentucky's win was a walk-off. But Ole Miss, like the difference, the bullpen only gave up 2 earned runs all weekend long. Spencer was back. Spencer has been dealing with those shoulder issues. Like he was back. So he's healthy. And for Ole Miss, this is the first time to win 3 straight SEC series since 2018. So it had been a minute for Ole Miss to do this. The weather was awful. I mean, it was the game on Saturday or yesterday, whatever the final game was. Like it got moved 3-4 different times. The weather was just awful everywhere. But I mean, to me, this was just a really, really gritty win for Ole Miss. And Sam, I see that's going to be a fun series to go to with Tennessee and Ole Miss for a variety of reasons. But you'll have a good time, Sam. I wish I was going to be there. We were going to go there, but we had something come up in the family and can't be there. But yeah, Sam, just hit me up. I'll tell you where to go, where to eat, where to have a good time in the weekend in Oxford for sure.
Any takeaways on Kentucky out of this one?
Yeah, so before I'll let you go real quick, Alfred. So remember, this is 2 weekends in a row where it's ended weird with Kentucky. Remember, last week it was A&M. This week it ended weird. Like normally after every series, the coaches come out of the dugout, shake hands, do all that stuff. Like that did not happen in this series, and it was chippy. Like Kentucky, they do that pump it up thing where everybody gets on top of the step of the dugout and starts dancing and everything, and it was chippy. Kentucky, they'll be fine. Like Kentucky reminds me so much of Vanderbilt. Nobody plays the style that they play. They just manufacture runs, and they might not be the most talented team, but they just are super chippy and play a certain way. And I think Kentucky, I think they'll be fine. Like they're a ball bouncing a different direction here or there from taking this series.
Yeah, pretty frustrating. I mean, they had the middle game, the second game of the series, they had 10 hits. They out-hit Ole Miss hit total wise, and they lost. And then Ben Cleaver threw 11 strikeouts, and they lost that game too in extra innings. That's got to sting when you have a start like that and that doesn't go your way. Partially for me, that's like you can't. That's why if you're Kentucky, like you said, Graham, just the little stuff didn't go your way, and that's what hurt you in the end against a really good team in Ole Miss. And like I said, the offense really, I don't think. I guess it was the left on base stuff, but the third game was not good offensively. The middle game was. I mean, they had many people with multiple hits, whereas the third game, you had Patrick Herrera with 2 hits, and outside of that, you had no offense. So pretty frustrating. I mean, considering Ben Cleaver's been pretty strong in the starting pitching role this year, and he delivers honestly one of his better starts this season, and you can't get the win in the end. So I think you're a little disgruntled if you're Kentucky, but you got to throw it away quickly, because you got to remember we could have done little minor things differently, and this would have gone a different way. So we can't get too discouraged about it.
All right. Considering how many dugouts we've all been in collectively, there's no way that Ben Cleaver has not heard every Beaver Cleaver joke ever, right? I mean, there's just no possible way. Well, I mean, I'd be surprised if that's not what the Wildcats call him, even though that shows older than most of their parents. But secondly, Graham, your analysis was spot on. But barring the last time I went to the local Mexican restaurant, ain't nothing been as chippy as these Kentucky Wildcats. I mean, everything. I mean, they just need to serve salsa at every seat. I mean, hey, I think they embrace the drama, to be quite honest. I mean, and you know what? The mark of a good manager is being able – my hallmark for the mark of a good coach is your team better than its parts? And if you can say yes to that, then for the most part, you've done a good job as a coach. But if you can put your thumb on what motivates your team, especially in baseball, because it's all analytics these days, and you're crunching numbers and running stats, and no matter how much you struggled in the month of March, Chase Lavalette was not going to get sat down. I mean, you go with who you got. But if you can figure out if being chippy is going to get Kentucky into the NCAA tournament, and at this pace it is, then dance on the front step. Be the SEC version of the Savannah Bananas, for God's sakes. I mean, hey, that's good coaching.
They'll need good coaching. They play Texas and Tennessee the next 2 weekends. That's not nice. So you really got to forget about this quickly this weekend if you're Kentucky, result-wise.
That's why this series was so big for them. One stat for Kentucky, in every SEC game they've had this season, they've had the lead in every single one of those games. So, I mean, they've been in, pretty much almost every SEC game.
Yeah. I mean, they're right there. And again, the style of play gives them a chance. I think they're a little power deficient outside of Cole Hage, who continues to be probably the best player in the league that a lot of people aren't talking about. I think we got to everybody but Mississippi State, and South Carolina. State was in a world of hurt after losing the Friday game. Came back. I think the surprise was their pitching today. Carson Ligon had his best performance probably since he's been at Mississippi State. Been there 2 years after transferring from Miami, through either 5 or 6 shutout innings. And Stone Simmons, who started the year, I think, as a starter, his kind of transition to that jumbo relief. He shut the door. I think they struck out 14 between them. I know South Carolina's not one of the better hitting teams in the league, but you shut out anybody in college baseball right now, that's an accomplishment. Any of you guys have eyes on that one?
Yeah.
Go for it, Alfred.
Sorry. Chase Hungate was really good in the second game, coming out and getting that win out of the bullpen. That was huge. South Carolina's lack of offense the last 2 games hurt bad. And especially when you're on the road in that kind of environment, it's going to do that to you. And that was a tough loss to take for them, obviously, in a series. I mean, you're right now kind of at the back with really Florida and Missouri, SEC wise. You're 2-10 in conference play. That was really what just hurt them, and it kind of is almost shocking, right? And outlierish, like Tennessee, Texas A&M. I mean, you go into Duty Noble Field and you get a win on Friday night against Pico Cone, and then you come out the next 2 games and you're flat. So, not a whole lot of answers from them and Paul Maneri, but great for Mississippi State. Obviously, this was needed from both teams in both directions with whoever won, and they got the upper hand in this one. So major thumbs up for Chris Lemonis and getting this done.
I picked State to win this series. I did it for 2 reasons. One, it's in Starkville, and then I just think they got more firepower to their lineup. So in South Carolina's win, they had 10 hits, and then the rest of the way they had 7 total hits the rest of the weekend. Ethan Petrie, their top bat, he only had 1 hit. Now, he did walk 5 times, but only the 1 hit. So to me, this was a huge series win for Mississippi State, just with all the chatter and noise in the Magnolia State about Lemonis and his future. They were able to push that aside, at least for this weekend, and pick up a big series win for them. And they're just starting to figure it out, especially on the back end of their bullpen. Chris, you mentioned Stone Simmons. He's one of the best stories in the SEC, didn't really pitch at all for 2 years, battled injuries, and started the season as the number 3 starter for Mississippi State. Now this is his role, it appears, the rest of the way, and he's a really fun story for Mississippi State.
Graham,
good for him.
But everybody is welcome to chime in on this. My next big picture question: which coach, hearing whispers among a frustrated fan base, needed this weekend showing more?
Lemonis.
Or early in College Station.
To me, it's Lemonis. Like everybody knows about early, but he's still halfway through his first season. I mean, Lemonis, if he doesn't get it going, so many people in this state kind of feel that the writing is on the wall. Again, anytime you have Mississippi State media on social media and on all their shows, say there needs to be a coaching change, that's where this program is right now. So this was a really, really big series win for Mississippi State.
Graham, you're in that state. Is it just me? He just seems like he doesn't do himself a lot of favors with the media. I'm not saying he's like antagonistic, but I'm not sure he's out there either.
Yeah, so I would say it's fair. So he handles the media well. I mean, like Mississippi State, they have a lot of access, and I mean, he's got some of the longer press conferences of any baseball coach in the league. Like if you go watch his stuff, and not only his press conferences, but like he's got a deal where he's on the biggest statewide talk show in the state of Mississippi. Like he's got a 15-minute window every Monday. So like he's pretty out there and accessible with the media. Now, being a part of the Mississippi State community and like being out and about in Starkville, now that's a little different.
Okay.
The reason I know about it a little bit, like my wife and her side of the family, like they're all state grads, and like we lived in Starkville for a couple of years when she was finishing up her PhD, and I mean, baseball is huge at Mississippi State, and like if your coach isn't out and about, like I can't tell y'all how beloved Ron Polk is. I mean, he's so beloved, and like he's in his 80s, and he's the color analyst for the radio broadcast this year. And I mean, like he's got a statue, like Hall of Fame, like still speaks on campus, like has an office, all that stuff. Like he's so beloved. And they went through a stretch there in Mississippi State where it just seemed like they were going through head coach after head coach. And Lamonis, he's been there for a little bit now, but it just feels like he hasn't been embraced by the community in Starkville and Mississippi State.
That's the difference in your question, Jay, to me, is that he's been there, and Michael Early's year one. And I guess if you maybe Paul Maneri's hearing noise, but even he's in year one. So it's like, to me, you got at some point, as much as you type on Twitter, you're going to have to find some patience in that as well with your coach. And so that's the thing with Lamonis hearing noise more heading into this weekend, but we'll see how it goes going forward. One more note on the Gamecocks too, guys. Their schedule is not good after this. They go to College Station and then host Ole Miss the next 2 weekend series. I don't think they win both of those, and it's quite plausible that they might not get a win in those. So at the rate they're going.
Yeah. I've got some thoughts on coaches that might not be back, but we'll save those for another time, maybe, especially as we get later in the season and see how things develop. Parting thoughts. We'll go Graham, Jay, Alfred. Tell me what you've got here.
Top 2 winners of the weekend: Texas A&M and then Texas. So big weekend for the Lone Star State.
I know it's a baseball show, but I would have given up a 3-game sweep at the hands of the hated Alabama Crimson Tide for 7 more points Saturday night in San Antonio.
My final note, Graham, I'll shadow what you said. Texas A&M, massive, might put their season in a really good direction if that keeps up. Texas, if you didn't think they were a national title contender now or before, they certainly are now. And Florida, you have the national championship Monday night. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Story of the weekend was undoubtedly the state of Texas for reasons Graham showed up. And to me, if that A&M team shows up, hey, all you got to do is get there. Because they could be a 3 seed and get to Omaha. Starting pitching's that good if it stays healthy now that they got Caden Sorrell back. And Texas just continues to do tremendous stuff under Jim Schlossner. That's Texas has probably got, I don't know, guys, what the 2 biggest series wins in the league so far?
Yeah, with the two top 5.
LSU and Georgia?
Yeah.
And did they sweep both?
No, they took 2 or 3 against LSU.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the thing to me this underscores it. You look at the RPI. I'm checking Warren Nolan right now. Does a really good job of updating it within a few minutes of games being played. Your top 10 in the RPI nationally: Arkansas, followed by Clemson, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee at 5, Ole Miss, LSU, Vanderbilt, Alabama, Georgia Tech. 8 of your top 9 RPI teams, gentlemen, in the SEC. Going down further, Auburn at 14, Oklahoma 19, and I think Kentucky is, let's see, Florida 37. By the way, here's a Florida stat for you guys. Florida was 11-1 at one point. And what, 20-14 now?
Yeah.
Yep.
And let's see, who am I missing here? I think the big thing to watch is A&M has now climbed into the Vandy's at what did I say, 7 or 8?
Okay.
7. No, I'm sorry. Vanderbilt's at 8. Let's see, Kentucky 45, Mississippi State 51, A&M 62, South Carolina 39, Florida 37, Missouri 152. So technically, you've got 15 of the 16 teams that are in striking distance of the RPI, that if they get hot, you know, all those teams have got a shot at this point.
Yeah. Very much so. It should be interesting.
Who are the non-SEC teams in the top 10 RPI wise?
Clemson's 2.
Clemson, Georgia Tech.
Yeah, Georgia Tech's 10. Did you say the non-RPI? The non-SEC? Yeah.
Non-SEC.
So, goodness. Which begs the question. So all your top 10 are all from the same 2 conferences. And then you go Coastal Carolina, Arizona, Oregon State, Auburn, Kansas. Kansas is 15 in the RPI.
First place in the Big 12 right now.
Who would have
Shocking.
thought?
Not me. Not on the bingo
Yeah, but
card.
isn't that kind of like being the world's tallest short person?
No, I mean the Big 12 has had some teams.
Yeah, before Oklahoma and Texas came to the SEC, they had some teams.
Well, I know, but TCU and Texas Tech have been good. You know, consistently. I mean, Tech's dropped off.
Hey, if I've shared any knowledge with you guys, it's don't trust a bad rice, right? So that's where we are.
Well, I mean, Kansas too. I mean, that's a place where your NIL is going to basketball or maybe football. You get rated for players in the transfer portal. That's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
See,
huge.
The NIL conversation, while always important, I still go to climate. Of all the teams you named until you got to Kansas, only Oregon State would I classify not being in a warm weather scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just a really good program, though. I guess we'll leave with this question, and we don't have to address it now. We got plenty of time, but I'm fascinated to see if baseball transfer portal, if the numbers get to be what men's basketball transfer portal's numbers are this year. Like, will there ever be a $2.5 million baseball player in the SEC?
Well, hey, forget 2.5, brother. Cooper Flagg made $4.8 million in NIL money.
Like legitimate NIL.
Yes. Well, I mean, how many different AT&T and Gatorade and Nike commercials on Saturday did you not see with Cooper Flagg in it?
Yeah,
a bunch.
And playing bingo with his mom.
With his mammy.
Yeah,
who made him go give high fives to all the rest of the loser old people sitting over there going, "What? What happened?"
See, I keep waiting for somebody to legitimately do it in baseball, where you get a Rawlings or a bat company or Nike or something, and you see maybe a top 5 guy pass the money up and
that's where we are. I mean, think about guys who are going. It's happened occasionally in men's basketball. It's happening all the time in women's basketball. They are foregoing the draft to come back to school because the NIL money, when you talk about slotted spots in the draft, you're guaranteed you can make more money in NIL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That happens with baseball. The draft guys, Tyler Bell, big example. William Schmidt, bigger example.
Mike
Ryan
Schmidt.
Prager.
Yeah.
Well, and Schmidt was a special case because he grew up a big LSU fan with literally within the shadows of the ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but
that's different. Yeah. To answer Donovan's question, look, I love the College World Series. I've been there. I highly recommend it, especially if your team is in it. Nothing beats the NCAA tournament.
Agreed.
No. Yeah.
Agreed.
I've been to both, and
yeah,
and yes, you are correct.
Yeah. The thing I like about Omaha and regionals is like there's an element of strategy there that isn't in basketball. You know, like when you're getting into, even when you're winning a game late, if it gets unexpectedly close, like do you burn your top relief guy to close out a game and maybe cost yourself that arm? I think the strategy in the NCAA tournament and the College World Series is just, I love it. But I'm with you. The NCAA tournament's the best sporting event in the country, in my opinion.
You're inside. It's 2 hours, and like the atmosphere is great. Like Omaha, it's hard to get to, and it's hot. Ask me how I know.
But it's not humid. At least you've got that. Not as humid as it is in the South.
Yeah,
and it is windy in Omaha, so you get a little bit of breeze.
Not, I mean, I forget who asked the question.
It was 102 when I was there.
I forget who asked the question, but if you get the opportunity to go to Vegas and watch the first 2 days of March Madness in a sports book, chef's kiss.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do that. I'll say the Graham. I've probably been to Nebraska 3 or 4 dozen times on account of marrying a Nebraskan, but it's not consistently that bad.
Yeah.
Oh, that story's corny.
And with that, I think we've hit our expiration date.
Hey, I'm a dad joke Hall of Famer. What can I do?
I've got the dad joke calendar in front of me. Got that for Christmas from my daughter. Yeah, guys, it's been fun. We'll do power rankings tomorrow, probably in the 10 Central hour. And I hesitate to give a time because we haven't consulted on schedules and also don't know what our basketball plan is for the morning. I'm 99% certain we'll have a live stream to talk national title and all that stuff. So we got you covered there. Can't wait to watch Florida and Houston tomorrow night. Can't wait to see the next weekend of baseball. We'll probably be doing some more stuff too. We've been doing a lot of midweek shows lately. That's going to pick up with basketball rolling off, so we'll keep you posted on those. Subscribe to the Twitter account if you don't mind. Subscribe to the channel if you don't mind. That's free. Leave us some likes. Wherever you get your podcasts, check us out. We've got this available as an audio podcast too. Give us a 5-star rating and leave some nice comments. That helps us get noticed. We're trying to pick up the audience there. And leave us a super chat. Looking for sponsors too if you're interested. We had well over 500,000 people watching this channel just in the last 28 days. So we're picking up an audience quickly. Only been around a few years. But anyway, thank you for watching.
When is that Alfred swimsuit calendar going to be available?
Oh, viewership will skyrocket.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I'll do it right before the selection show when that comes around. So that way we get eyes on it.
Yeah. I think we're definitely done now. Thanks for tolerating us. God bless you. Have a great night. For Graham, Jay, and Alfred, I'm Chris Lee, host here at Southeastern 16. Appreciate you watching. God bless you. We'll see you again soon.